Hello. Oh my gosh, it's our first podcast, Amanda. Welcome.
I know. I can't believe it. Oh, welcome, Eleanor, to the Illumina podcast that you have co-created.
Yes, with you, Amanda Banks, famous film producer.
Oh, God. Oh, look, I'll take it. I'll take any praise I can get. It's so much work.
So much work. Hello, everybody. Officially welcome to our first podcast. I am Eleanor Curry, and this is my co-host,
Amanda Banks.
And yeah, this is going to be our very first podcast. What are we calling it? Illuminate podcast.
Illuminate, yeah.
Illuminate. Yes. So if you've been following us, we've obviously released our first film this year in January, Born at Home. And wow, oh my gosh, it's been received so well. We are so proud of this little tiny project that we started, 3-4 years ago now?
Yeah.
And it just took off in ways that we couldn't imagine. We're basically two homebirth mums that just decided to make a film, had this crazy idea to make a film one day and just set off on it and embarked on this crazy big project. And it's led us, to so many crazy places. We've just pretty much finished touring a lot of Australia with the film, and we're back home now, ready to continue this journey by creating this podcast.
Yeah, I just still can't believe it that we're here. And I just think it's really funny because like during the whole process of filming, we honestly did not think about the outcome or even like the distribution at all. The whole time we were just like thinking 1 foot ahead of the next.
Yes.
And there was just no plan whatsoever about who would see it, how would we distribute it. And I just love that. It's just such an authentic journey that we've embarked upon.
Yeah, I honestly remember telling one of the school mum friends of mine that I'm operating half an hour at a time. Like I was that tired, had that much going on that I was literally looking ahead half hours at a time going, okay, what do I need to do in this next half hour to keep myself moving forward, to keep all the balls in the air and keep this, family going, this project going. So yeah, it definitely wasn't easy.
Yeah, that's for sure. And I think sometimes like through social media and just like if you just follow us or don't know us, you look at this lifestyle like on Instagram that we're leading and it's really just like, I mean, it's true because we're living that as well, but there has been so many hours of sacrifice, lots and lots of sacrifice in many facets of our lives to get there. And I think, for me, the advocacy part was what like drove me to continue as well, was like, this is such a meaningful project and it has to be seen, it has to be shared, and all these sacrifices are worth it. And, now it's so fun that we get to enjoy the distribution stage of like traveling with our family and visiting new places. And
that's right. Nobody saw us crying in the corner.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah. And just like also the nervousness, like the sheer horror, like before some of those events, like right at the beginning when I just like the first thing that comes to mind is that first screening for the contributors. Mm-hmm. I felt physically sick.
Yeah.
Like just thinking about what these people who are in the film would think. Do they like it? Are they happy? Do they want to pull their footage out because they hate it so much?
Yeah.
There's just so many emotions, such an emotional roller coaster.
Totally. I think we should take everybody back a few steps and just for those people that might have accidentally stumbled on the podcast for the first time, or maybe you saw the film and this is your very first interview that you've heard us do, or podcast really, but I think it's worth saying like our background because it's actually quite funny that we are here of all people. I don't know, that sounds funny, but like
it's true.
It's true. Yeah. Amanda, do you want to say your background?
Yeah, I can get started on that. So my background is health. So I'm an acupuncturist. I work in Brisbane and I've been in the industry for 9 years or so. I work mostly with women's health. That's been a primary interest since my 2 kiddies were born. So both of my children were born at home. And the first one was 2017, and that kind of really propelled me into maternity and mothering because he was an unplanned little human that really was destined to be born. And that really thrust me into this whole tangent, what do you call it, fork in the road, where it's like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, you're being led down this direction. And I was probably dragged down that direction, to be honest. I wasn't really super keen to have kids, I don't know, at all, or just like the timing. I never felt that kind of maternal pull that some other people feel internally. I feel like I was dragged and initiated by fire into motherhood. And so I worked part-time while my son was little, and my daughter just had the most incredible home birth in 2020. And that's when my life changed. It was like a whole nother initiation by fire, but probably more of a calm, beautiful fire. Like, my daughter's really into Frozen, so I'm talking like she's really into the water horses at the moment on Frozen. So it's like I strode through that birth like on a water horse from Frozen, and she was my little princess that was born so beautifully, and her birth just changed me completely. And it was really that experience that motivated me to want to share the beauty of home birth, and that home birth was an option. And so then I moved into maternity advocacy. So I was the convener for Home Birth Queensland for 3 years, which is when we were filming this project as well. And it was really, learning from the families, learning from the women's stories about birth trauma, about why they chose to birth at home, what brought them there, and their birth experiences that motivated me to want to do this film. It was just driven by a point of advocacy. How can I get more women and more families to know that this was an option for them, and even just to explore it, not saying that this is better, just saying that every woman deserves to be able to make that informed decision about their maternity care, and to know and understand what that actually looks like. That was my huge passion and drive to get the project going, and also that lived experience of birthing at home as well.
So just to be clear, you had absolutely no experience creating a film
No,
prior to this?
no. So it was so funny. So myself and Eleanor, like as we were like entering the distribution stage, we were like, we had to fill in these things like titles basically. And it's like, well, what's our titles? And then like going through like, well, what is a producer? I literally Googled what is a producer. And then like all these, roles come up under the search. And I was like, oh yeah, I do that. Oh, I do that. I do that. And I'm like, oh, maybe that's my title then. I guess I produced this film.
Yeah, we were literally like, yeah, that's you. You're the producer. Okay, great. Yeah, you produced this thing. Great. What am I?
Yeah, it's like I literally Googled for Eleanor, what is a director? Because it's like you can use like filmmaker because it's like a really broad term of like you made a film.
Yeah.
But like those specific titles, we have no experience in the industry whatsoever. Well, Eleanor, you do. You go into your history, because I feel like your history is definitely highly relevant to filmmaking.
Yeah, I guess I probably had the more experience. My background, well, actually, way back when, is in journalism writing. So I've always been a creative spirit of sorts. And more recently, in the last couple of years, I went into video production and photography. But for me, it was in the real estate side of things. So I run a business on the Sunshine Coast for real estate photography and videography, which is very, very different to filmmaking. But it does let you have a lot of experience with cinematography, lighting, trying to create or trying to get the environment to be as, beautiful as possible. So I think that's where my skills came in. I was able to bring all of that into this filmmaking process. I had all the equipment. Well, when I say all the equipment, I mean all the equipment that I had is secondhand. It's very basic, and that is exactly what we started with when we started filming. I didn't have this crazy cinema camera. I didn't have, a huge array of lenses. I just had a couple that I was using day in and day out in my business. We didn't have huge lighting setups, any of that stuff. So just, if you have a dream, you can just literally get started where you are. That's what we did. So it just still blows me away. We've had a couple of cinema screenings where I've had some guys come up afterwards and be like, oh, what camera are you using? Bet it costs like 20, 30,000, plus. And I was like, nah, it's $5,000 secondhand. And that came with a lens.
So what is your camera for those tech heads that are interested in filmmaking?
It's like embarrassing. It's the Canon 1DX Mark II, which is, you actually can't buy that anymore. That's how old it is. There's the Mark III came out, so that's why you can't buy it anymore. But it's a beast. Like, it is such a good camera. It's got such good colors, good quality. And I think it doesn't matter what equipment you've got, honestly, you don't need to have a big red camera, which is like the cinema standard for cinematography and filmmaking. But it's like, you can get started with anything. Like, you can get started with an iPhone. There's documentaries that are being made off iPhones and they've won awards. So honestly, if anyone's out there who is in that creative field, I feel like you can just get started. If you can tell a story and you know how to use your equipment, then you can use anything really, and you just upgrade as you go. Yeah.
It's so inspiring, because I think it's a huge barrier for people, is that, they don't feel like they have the right equipment or,
totally
enough of
and
the gear.
We had, just for those people that are in the creative industry, I literally had one camera body when we started this. So some of the interviews, I literally just had one angle. If you're in the industry, you know what I'm talking about. And then I think halfway through, I got a second camera body, which meant that I could have a cutaway angle, which was huge for us. So, some of the interviews, it's like, yes, I've got two angles to work with. Others, I just had a single angle. We've got these little lapel mics, didn't have any boom mics, anything like that. So honestly, it makes me laugh that we achieved what we did with what we had to start with.
And we had those little lights sometimes too.
Oh yeah,
we had but they were broken.
Like $150, but they were like half broken.
But they worked really well.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So funny. And I'm like your assistant that I don't even know what that camera is. Like, it's just not my I'm like, and I was like, can you just make sure this is working? And I'm like, is it on?
What do I do?
Is there a red light? Then that's as far as my capabilities go.
You're a great assistant.
Oh, I'm a great teacher.
You kept the interview participants happy while I was like, okay, this is broken, damn it, I got to fix this.
Yeah.
And chatting away, so they didn't know anything was wrong.
Yeah, poor Eleanor. I wish there was a camera on the roof to see the chaos. So I'm there just chatting with people, and Eleanor is literally running around in circles, just getting all the angles, because no one to help her, getting all the angles, the lighting, and being like, you sit there, sit there, we'll check it, check the microphones. Oh, so funny.
Oh, God. But anyway, so that's my background. So I came into it with a bit more filmmaking, I guess, knowledge, but more on the videography side of things. And so really you just called me up one day and just said, hey, Elle, you want to make a film? I've got this crazy idea. And I was like, hell yeah. I didn't even know what you were talking about, what you wanted to make the film about. And I was on board, totally on board. I've always wanted to make a film, exactly like yourself when you talked about, children being you've kind of just thrown into it. I feel like I was just thrown into this because it was the direction I needed to eventually take, and you were the one just to bring it to my doorstep, basically. And then you were like, yeah, it's going to be about home birth, and I was like, cool. What's home birth? No.
But seriously.
Not seriously, yeah.
You had one of those, didn't you?
Yeah.
As in me.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's literally how we started. And then your role throughout the whole thing, you blow me away with the things that you've been able to pick up and just run with, all the hats that you've had to wear. Yes, I was the filmmaker side of things. I brought all the equipment, did the filming, worked out the sound, lighting, all that kind of stuff, and the editing afterwards. But you were literally everything else. You were the ideas woman. You were the caster. You had to find all of our interview participants. You had to line up all the interviews. You had to get those professionals. I don't even know how you were able to get the people that you got on the film. It would not have been the same without the quality of the families and the experts and the midwives that you were able to pull together. And then on top of that, you were social media, you were event planner, you were in charge of getting us into the cinemas, acquiring like a film distribution contract. Like, what the hell? Like, that is producer plus 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 plus. I don't know what the name is for that, but that's what you were in the
Thank you.
process.
I think like both of us have worn so many hats because we've had to. And I think we're both just solution focused. It's like, okay, every problem that comes up, you know, how do we fix it? These are our options. For me, you start at the top and then you work your way down. And like the same as you, like doing like all these edits. I'm like, how did you do that? You're like, YouTube.
YouTube, how do I make a film?
Did you actually Google that?
I actually did that. Yeah. I actually did that. I had no idea. Like, I was just like, the most I'd ever made was like, 5 to 8 minute, videos. And then you want like a whole film. Like, I was like, how do you even do that? Like, and I remember just sitting down watching documentaries going, okay. Oh yeah. Okay. That's how they transitioned. Oh, that makes sense. Oh, that's a good one. Yep. Okay. Put that, in the toolbox. Yep. How did they, okay. Yep. Okay. So they used some sound effects with that one. Yeah. Oh, yep. Okay. Like, and that's just what I did. Like, every time I got stuck, I'd just like go back and watch somebody else's work or like, Google like filmmaking, just watch some YouTube tutorials. And then I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. Yep. That makes sense. Like,
it's just, I remember one day, like you were like, oh, I can just transition with like a black, like the black,
fade to black. Yeah.
Fade to black. And I remember you being like, I can just fade to black. Which like from anyone else, you're like, of course you can. But when it's your project, you're like, how do you like the transitions between stories
it's really important.
And imagery? It's just, I don't even know.
You can't break the focus. That's the thing. Like, you can't, like, a good film, at least from a consumer point of view before I made a film, was you don't want to know you're watching a film. You want to be so engrossed and so involved in the story and the emotions that are being evoked in you that you forget you're watching a film. And that is the highest compliment, I feel like. Like, when people come out of our film and they say, I literally cried from the beginning to the end. I wanted more. I forgot I was watching a film. Like, it's just like I was so involved and invested in that, in the women's stories. Like, all of those things make me go, yes.
Yeah,
we did a good job.
Yeah. When people walk out and say, I bawled the whole time.
Yeah.
Like hearing people laughing.
Yes.
Because I never thought, like, because we've obviously seen the film so many times, before I watched it with other people, I didn't realize it was funny. Like, because I had watched it and it's just so critical. Like, we have watched it so many, and like you comb it for anything that you've missed. And so you're kind of looking for mistakes or you're looking for little, things that you've missed, and you lose the content a little bit when you're watching something so critically. And so like we had to step back when we were like satisfied with like consent forms or like, and then I was like, oh, it's funny.
Yeah.
And like I'm still crying. How am I still crying when I watch this thing?
Yeah. The first time, literally people were so surprised when I say the first time I watched it properly was on the opening night with 280 people or whatever behind me, because up until that point, like, we were scrambling to get it finished firstly on time. Like, we literally got it finished 2 weeks prior because we had to send it away and get it converted to cinema format. So we were working on a really strict deadline, and I was literally working up until that point, editing it. So I hadn't even sat down and watched the whole thing with a relaxed eye. It was like the whole time was making sure everything's good, like watching each section carefully and stopping, and so I couldn't enjoy it. So you're right, like it was only opening night when I was just like as soon as it started I started crying.
It's like a combination of sheer relief and horror. Like, there's just so many emotions that came through that night, hey, like because we worked so hard. I can't emphasize how hard we worked to create this thing, like to bring it through to fruition. Like, it's just like a relief when you're like handing it over, like, oh my God, I can breathe again.
Like,
it was wild.
Like, and just to give people an idea, like, because we're both mums. My youngest is 2, so I had her while we were filming, and we took a short break for me postpartum. it was about 4 to 6 months where we just didn't work on the film at all. I think we were pretty much finished filming for the most part. So it really was just editing. And I just texted you. I think I was like getting into week 37. I was just like, I'm not doing any more, by the way.
Yeah.
don't talk to me about the film for the next 4 months. And then obviously had my daughter Emma. And then so having a new baby plus a 4.5-year-old, plus I also was running my business. I went back to work at the same time. So I would be taking Emma with me on shoots and the grandma as well. They, try to shoot while she's napping. And if she woke up, she'd be like, "Where's Mom?" So I'd quickly finish my shoot, hop back in the car, give her a feed, have a play around, maybe go do another shoot. Similar situation, hope she'd fall asleep. And then I would put her to sleep at night after I'd spent the rest of the day with her, plus the afternoon with my son, picking him up from kindy, cooking dinner, doing bedtime, everything like that. Finally get them down at, 7 or whatever, sit down at my computer, start editing from the shoots of the day. And that might take me to, 9 o'clock and she's awake. I'm in there, back out again, trying to finish this. It's 10, it's 11, going in and out like, new baby. And then finally finish my work for the day and then thinking, oh, shit, I've got to do something on the film. And that would be like at least 3 or 4 nights. The other nights I might fall asleep with her because I'm so tired. The weekend would roll around and I would be like, Aaron, I need to work on this film. Aaron, my partner. And so he would take the kids out for a few hours. I'd sit down and I'd get into it, exhausted, but trying to work on this film. And that would be week in, week out. That would be my weeks, just utterly exhausted. Those spare moments that you're supposed to be resting, I'd be like, oh, I got to do something on the film. Yeah. So, and that was like that for at least a year, like a year and a half. And so by the time I got to the end of this process, I was like incredibly burnt out, like to the point where everyone's like, are you excited? It's going to be, your film's going to be shown. I was like, I can't feel anything anymore. Like I am that tired, exhausted. I need to sleep. Like I just need to sleep for a week. That's it. And so yeah, it definitely was a hard slog for this period of time that we were in. So sometimes people are like, why didn't you include this? Why was that an editing choice? And I was like, we were just surviving. We were surviving, okay? What you see is what you get.
And also
we had
didn't
left
think
in us.
about it. We didn't plan it to be for the world. We originally,
exactly.
We didn't really have a plan, but in my mind, I was like, well, just our local community will probably see it. So what's relevant for our Queensland crew. We didn't think about different countries, different people from those countries. It was really, grassroots, local, and what we had time to
I
and
remember
what we had footage for.
Yeah, because that's what I actually honestly thought you were wanting it for. I was just excited to make a film in general. I didn't care what was going to happen to the film afterwards, really. I thought it'd be cool if some people saw it. Also horrified by that as well, that some people would see it. But then when you were like, oh, we should book some cinemas, I was like, what?
Who's going to come?
That's what I was thinking. I was like, what? And what, Gold Coast and Brisbane? What, and Sunshine? No, who's going to come and see it?
Yeah.
And then luckily I was just too exhausted trying to finish the film. So I didn't really think much of it. I was like, just go nuts, whatever you reckon. Just do what you want to do. And then you booked the first 5 screenings and you were like, yeah, I think you were like, oh, should I book a 40-seater? We were.
Yeah, literally. I was debating over, because for those that don't know, we are 100% self-funded. So this whole project has all our time. We've had no grants, nothing. So all of the money that's gone into film has been our own. So, when we're talking about hiring cinemas, we are paying for those cinemas, and we are hoping that we will get our costs back to cover the investment that we've made. Yeah. And so it wasn't just we might as well get a bigger one. It's no, can we afford that? Can we both afford that?
Luckily you got some sponsors right at the very end to help with the cinemas, because otherwise we would not have been able to. There were some beautiful midwives and companies that threw a bit of money at us to help us, which was just I couldn't even believe it. I was like, oh, thank you so much. You don't know how much we put into this. And then to have somebody else go, I'll support you too. Yeah. It was I just wanted to
incredible.
cry. Yeah.
Yeah, it just because otherwise, getting to cinemas would have been, even more of a financial
Yeah.
outlay for us, which we had already, laid, a bit of money in just to create this thing because it's what we
Mm.
believed in. So yeah, to get to that stage felt like a big risk.
Yeah.
But we're like, okay, well, we probably know enough people in Brisbane. Like, there's a pretty good following on the Gold Coast of homebirth and the Sunny Coast, and Ipswich as well. Like, that Toowoomba kind of region. So like that should, and Byron, like obviously, that Byron's gonna go well. So they were our first screenings. Which we sold out. Brisbane, Kawana, Ipswich went really well as well. That was a big cinema, so we didn't sell out
Yeah.
there, but that was still a really good. And Gold Coast sold out too, I think, actually. And
Yeah.
Byron, yes, they all
Yeah.
pretty much sold out.
Yeah.
And it just blew us away. We hadn't, and this was still before we signed a contract with Demand Films as well.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
that was all just our own generation of people supporting us
Yeah.
and wanting to come see the film. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Which is just insane.
Mm.
Yeah. And
What
then you
a-
have sort of like people going, "Oh, I heard about that film," and you're like, "Oh my god, you heard about it? Like,
Yeah.
how did you hear about it?" I don't know. It was just you did such a good job on social media and with your networking, and just obviously the people in the film wanted to come see it and told their family about it and things like that. But after that, it just kind of grew on its own through word of mouth, which I thought was just so beautiful. Like when we started to get those messages on Instagram about what people had thought and felt when they watched the film, I was seriously blown away. Like there was just so many people, who was like, sobbed the whole way through. Like, this is why I'm a birth worker. This is a must see for every woman, whether you want to be pregnant or not, whether you have been pregnant or not, whether you've got daughters or not. They were like, this is a must see. And then we had midwives coming out of there going, great, when is it going online so I can use it as a resource for my clients? I want to send it to every client at the start of her employing me. Basically, it's like, oh my gosh, like beyond our wildest dreams. Like that's what I would have hoped. Like once I realized, okay, people like it and they want to see it, I'm like, cool, well, I would love every woman to see it. So there is that choice for them. Again, they might not choose home birth, they might not think it's right for them, but at least they know it's an option and they know exactly what it looks like and exactly what it entails. And I think that's was our hope.
Yeah, 100%. And I think it started really small. So, for me, I was like, well, if I can help support one woman or even just a handful of women have a more positive, empowering birth experience, then that for me was enough. Like, even just helping one woman, like I've helped, I don't know how many people, just like, can you help me hook up with a midwife? And then, I see on the Instagram that they've had like a beautiful home birth with this midwife. And you're like, that's just what I'm here for, just like helping people. And like now I just can't believe the impact that the film has had. Like we're talking, I don't even know how many people, but we get a lot of messages on Instagram. And thank you so much for everyone that reaches out to us. We read all of the messages, even though we might not respond to all of them, but
we send them back and forth to each other.
Yeah, we see them and it just makes all the hard work and the sacrifices worth it, knowing that we've contributed positively to someone's life, really, because birth is huge. It can really be a make or break almost to your mental health or, impact with your family and your partner, and it can fragment a family. So, it's not just birth, it's a whole ripple effect into someone's life. So I just can't believe it. I just can't believe it.
Yeah, I think it really hit me. It was in one of our very first screenings. And for those that are listening, how many have we done now? Like over 40, is it?
That we've attended, over 40, but worldwide over 120.
Wow.
Probably 130 or something now over the world.
Yeah, so I remember on one of our very first screenings, because the ones that we attended, we had a Q&A panel afterwards with some amazing local midwives, doulas. Some had researchers, experts, like very well-known people. We had Rhea Dempsey, and we had obviously the women from the film, Sarah Buckley, Rachel Reed, and some of them. So I remember particularly after one of them, one of the midwives on the panel said she had a lady who was maybe 5 or 6 months pregnant come up to her afterwards and be like, is it too late for me to have a home birth? I'm scheduled for a hospital birth and I've changed my mind. And that was just like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Like that just hit me like, oh.
And then you've got like people meeting each other, like someone who's coming, they're like, I've just found out I'm pregnant. This is what I want now. Now I know what I want. And I'm like, well, have you met this midwife? Have you met this person? And then you hook them up. And then all of a sudden, like that relationship, now they have a midwife and now they're on this whole different trajectory that they weren't on before they
film.
And, same as doulas, like,
midwives?
at screenings. Yeah, student midwives.
They've been like, okay, that's what I want to do now. I want to go into private practice, or I want to go into the, what's it called? The
MGP. Yeah, midwifery group practice program.
And then
publicly funded home birth program.
I'm going to talk to this lady now that I've just met in the cinema. Yeah. So yeah, that's just crazy.
It's just crazy. Like we just didn't think about any of it, and to see it all come through like this, it's amazing. Like it's really interesting though. Hey, like how do you feel, Eleanor? Because like I just feel like normal. Like I just feel like the same that I did before. And people are like, oh my gosh, you must feel like, this, and this.
You've done this big thing.
Do feel those things. Like I feel like really proud and really happy to be helping people. But then also like you just go home and you just live the same life. Like it's not.
Yeah.
It's just really weird.
Yeah. Like I feel a little bit less tired now the film's finished.
That's fair. I think I'm feeling more tired now. We've like switched roles.
We've switched roles. Yeah. You're getting some of the – it's not that like it's definitely obviously a big project to take on, but it was more that the period in our life that we took it on with young kids and running other things. So I feel like it's going to get easier and easier because like nothing would be as hard as that. Like I went back to Bikram yoga, which I haven't gone properly for like 8 years. Like I've done it here and there a little bit. But honestly, remember how much I used to go before I had kids? Yeah. I loved it like 5 to 7 times a week.
You're crazy, Eleanor.
I was in love with it. So anyway, I went back to it properly. I've been back for like a week and this sounds weird, but it's not hard anymore. And it should be hard because I'm not as flexible, not as strong, whatever, not as fit, not as skinny as I used to be before kids. So you think it'd be harder, but the challenge of Bikram yoga is the focus, the patience, the ability to be very uncomfortable and to not only sit in that uncomfortability, but to push yourself further. And I'm like, well, that part's easy now. Now I just need the body to catch up and get stronger again and get more flexible. But my mind is there. I am completely in it, focused. Like there's no emotions taking me over, which used to in my 20s when I did Bikram yoga, all that stuff started to bubble up to the surface. And I think it's from obviously having kids. Kids is a big part. You have to be very patient with your kids. But taking on such a big project in the midst of such chaos. Because I really had to hold on to some kind of center and keep pushing forward, even though every single day I didn't feel like it. I was tired. There was a million excuses why I didn't get this over the line. There would have been like nobody would have been like, oh, like you gave up, Elle. They'd be like, of course, like you've got a baby, like you've got a business. Gosh, just put yourself first. Just relax. Yeah. You know what? It was too big. That project was too big anyway. Like and it's just the two of you, Don't beat yourself up. Just have a day off,
Yeah, 100%.
Like and that would have been like anybody would have been like, yeah, man, like chill, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
But because we started it, I knew we had to finish it.
Yeah. It's just not us. We're not people that finish something, that don't finish something. Like I think we hold each other accountable when I think we give each other a break when we know that we need it. Like we have enough, I guess, self-awareness to be like, no, this is okay to push now and this is not okay to push now.
Yeah, I think it's the other way. We are people that can push ourselves but not easily relax.
Yeah.
So you actually helped me by giving me a lot of grace. Okay. Like you just read this like little messages like, how's it going? like, how's the editing going? No pressure, no rush. Like,
It's
and like,
fine.
and I'm sitting on the couch crying and like postpartum depression. No, not really. But I'm just like so exhausted. Like, yeah, text me, like, yeah, it's coming along well. Aaron, I need some time on Saturday. Like,
Oh my
I got to do some more editing.
Banksy's on my back again with her sweetness. What a bitch.
Yeah, but if you had been like, come on, we need to finish this, I would have been like, nah, fuck you, man. Like, no, you know what I mean? Like, I would have, like, you would have, but because you were like giving me grace, that part of me that is driven was like, okay, come on, you can do it. Like, just a little bit more, just a little bit more.
A little bit at a time.
Another foot in front of the other. Yeah.
Yes. It's like that saying, what is it, like, a mile is achieved with a single step or whatever. What's that saying? I can't remember, but it's like, just one step at a time is still progress, even though it doesn't feel like you're doing a lot. But it's like one email or 1 minute. 1 minute's a lot. Yeah. Like just organizing footage or something, or it's just.
I have I think I've mentioned her before, but one of my favorite other podcasters, her name is Sally McRae. She's an ultra runner from the US, and she does 250 miles, which is, gosh, what's that in kilometers? Is like
a long way.
Nearly 500, 500 kilometer races, like crazy, and just I like listening to her because she talks about it. It's just about figuring out how to keep moving forward. That's all the races are. It's like it's like not if you're going to have a problem, you are going to have problems, and you are going to have to overcome them, whether it's like blisters, like your legs like not working anymore, whether you're just like throwing up, you can't keep anything down, there's all these things that will come up that your body is like, stop, I can't do it anymore, and your mind is like, no, we're going to do it now, we just have to figure out how. And that's it. I feel like that's me. It was like, no, it's going to get done. I just need to figure out how.
Yeah. I think it just comes back. And I think we work as a good team as well. Like we're both equally as motivated, and we're both, okay with pushing ourselves beyond like discomfort. And I think if you had a different dynamic, it would be very challenging because you have to be on the same page with your goals and your motivations, because it's just too easy to give up. And I think that's why not many people create such a big project like this, especially when you're self-funded and you've got all these barriers. You have to have that combined motivation.
It's too easy to listen to your emotions like on a daily basis. Your emotions will lie to you.
Yeah, they do.
They will say like, I don't think this is for me. I don't think I'm cut out for this. I just need a break. Like there's this going on. There's this going on. I should be doing this. I should be doing that. But you just like have to go, no, I set that goal and nothing else matters. Like it's going to happen. We just have to be flexible because, got family life and business and stuff and how that's going to happen, but it's going to happen. It's just going to happen.
Yep. Yeah. We're just working on it. I think like for me, one of the big barriers was like that imposter syndrome of like, why is it me that can do it? Like there's people that are better than me. Like there's people much more qualified. Like I'm just a consumer. I use those little quotation marks. It's like, I'm not a midwife. I'm not an expert. Why am I qualified for that?
I was going to ask you, what made you think, like at the very beginning, what made you think that you could just, create a film?
I think because it was going to be nothing. If I knew that it would end up to be a feature length film that people were actually going to see all over the place, I would have been like, well, I'm definitely not qualified for that. You need like whole teams of people to create a film. Like I have no idea how to do that. But because it was just started so small that it just felt doable, and it was just like, okay,
so innocently.
And it was just us as well. Like I had no one else. Like I'm the driver. Like, I'm setting the deadline. So I didn't have the pressure from someone else on me but I still had my own internal dialogue, which I still have, before every single event, like that imposter syndrome, like you're not good enough. Like why you think you're okay to be here. So I think, it started small and it just grew, and I just couldn't, the energy of the film took me along for a ride. I'm not the opposite way around. Like, it's like, well, I'm just holding on to and like channeling the film and like supporting it along this journey. And so it's weird, but I think that way it made it less intimidating.
Yeah.
And, you know, plus alongside that, I had incredible support around me. Like you were always so supportive, and Sasha and Mayette, and like it's just a bunch of people, like Homebirth Queensland in general, were just so supportive. And it's like, I don't like to let people down. And, you know, all the people that we interviewed, they were also supportive and like sending me messages like, how's the film going? And I'm like, you know, when you're constantly being like brought up, that helps as well.
That helps, definitely. Yeah, I remember, I don't know about for you, but I remember the moment where I thought, oh, I think we've got something here is when we attended was it a Homebirth Queensland or Homebirth Australia picnic?
Yeah, Homebirth Queensland. Yeah, the family picnic. Yeah,
family picnic. And we had just finished the trailer. We hadn't finished the film, but I had put together enough of a trailer. I think we made it the extended trailer, and we showed it at the picnic, and you know, we just had some headphones, some iPads, the computer there, and we just let people watch it. And watching them watch it and people tearing up and like people like, you know, grabbing for their husbands, come over here and watch this, you know, to have Lisa from Homebirth Queensland, like just look, when she looked at me after she watched it, I was like, oh my gosh, yes. Like, one, we've got something here, and we've also done them proud.
Yes.
That was my feeling.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's a lot of pressure because, you know, there are other birth films around, but ours was so specific, home birth, and mostly the solution as opposed to the problem. And so you wanted to do it. That's like a really good point. Like you wanted to do home birth proud, you know, by representing what it actually is like, but also like, you know, our lived experience of home birth is, I guess, pretty normal, but maybe not for other people. You know, it's just like a lot of elements you want. And you want, like for me, I wanted the contributors to feel happy that they were involved in it too. Like I didn't want them to watch it and go, oh, that was bad, or like, oh, that was a bit of a hype that wasn't worth it. You know, you want to them to feel happy of their involvement as well.
Was there a moment like that for you where you thought, yes, this is good, or this is going to work, or we've got something here?
Yeah. So like, you know, Eleanor, so we both work at nighttime, right? Because, you know, we have lives, we have 2 little kids each. And so pretty much all of our work at that time was done in the night. And so like when we were like really on a good roll, Eleanor would send me segments of the film that she's been working on. And she'd always freaking send it to me at like 10 o'clock at night, or like 9:30, 10. And I mean, I'm normally awake, you know, but also preparing to go to sleep. And she's like, she just sent me a sneaky text that says like, update, you know, question mark. Sometimes like, what do you think? And I'm like, fuck, should I open this thing? And so then I remember these key moments. I don't remember which segments they were, but like particularly around the 45-minute mark, or the half an hour, the 20-minute mark, maybe 35-minute and the 45-minute mark. Like those moments watching the film, which is pretty much what you see on the screen, like they're all, you know, close to a final edit, right? It was just like tweaking here and there. And I'm watching it and I'm like, this thing is so freaking good. And I'm like, what? And so I'm like, it's like, you know, 10, 11 o'clock at night. And I'm like, I want to call her. Everyone's asleep. And I'm like writing messages back, holy shit, like screaming into the phone, like, what the fuck? This thing is incredible. And Eleanor's like, do you think? Really? Yeah. And then, so they were like moments for me that I'm like, whoa, this thing is so good. And then it would just keep happening. And it's like 3 minutes. Like she just sent me like 3-minute update. And I'm like, how did you even create that perfection? Like how? How did you create me? How am I crying in 3 minutes from watching something that I was there for the interview? It's not like completely new content. Like I've sent you the photos, or I've like, you know, witnessed the interview. And yeah, for me, like those moments were like really big moments that I really felt like, wow, this is something that's really special that we're creating. And whoa, yeah, where is this? People are just going to love it because I love it. Well, I was hoping that people would love it, but I thought they love it. They would. Yeah.
There was another moment when I showed Aaron, my partner, one of the, I think it was we'd only finished like 45 minutes of the film, something like that. And I was like, oh, do you want to see a little bit of it so far? And he's like, yeah, of course. And so he'd only ever seen me with my headphones on with images on the computer screen that I was editing, but nothing put together. I wouldn't let him see any of it because I was, same as you, like imposter syndrome, like this is shit. Like this is not any good. I'm not going to show it to anybody.
Well, it's like we're not filmmakers. So like,
no.
The bar is quite low.
Yeah, bar is very low. Maybe that's why we worked so well. Anyway, so I put it on the TV and we're sitting in the lounge room. He's like, yeah, of course I want to watch it, being supportive partner. And then sitting there and it starts and it's literally only a minute in and he grabs my hand and I look at him and he's got tears in his eyes. He's like, this is good. And I was just like, and I was like, yeah. But then afterwards talking to him, it's like, yeah, he was, going to be supportive no matter what. But then he realized it was actually good. He actually was enjoying it. And he's like, but this is looks professional. And I was like, thanks.
Yeah. Because it's hard to believe. You think when you think someone's making a film, what you envision is a whole film crew. When you look at the credits, it's production team, sound team, editing team, casting, producer. There's just so many people that are involved. You can't even imagine two people doing it all.
Yeah.
How? Exactly. How, Eleanor? How?
I think it is literally just that thing where it's just one foot in front of the other. There was no expectations on us. We didn't even know where it was going to go. We didn't know how big it was going to be. We didn't know that people were going to be in the UK watching it, sharing it, doing reviews where they're crying and saying how good it is. If you knew all of that before you started, that's way too much pressure. You'd just be like, oh, I don't think, no, we're not the right people for that. So get somebody else. That sounds way too much work and pressure for just us. So I think, it literally just is this one foot in front of the other. Don't think about how it's going to happen. Don't think about what's going to happen when it's finished. It's just like creating anything. You just create it for the love of creating and just allow whatever's going to come through you and just, and the end result will have a life of its own. At some stage you just let it go into the world and it is what it is.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what we did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty
But
impressive.
now I was thinking you could run through what countries it's in now. So if you're listening now at the time that we release it, what's still happening with the film?
Yeah, I can do that. I'm really excited. We distributed in Australia, so you can still watch the film throughout Australia through Demand Films. So Demand Films is a film distribution company that have a basic threshold for ticket sales. And once that threshold is reached, so for example, 20 tickets for your event, then that event goes ahead and that's zero cost for anyone who would like to host a screening. And so that business model is applied to Australia, New Zealand, UK, Ireland. What else is up that way?
Ireland.
Ireland. Canada. Canada. So those countries are all through Demand Films. And we're really, 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 really close. So by the time this comes out, we might have launched already in the USA. Apparently people call it the US. In the United States,
yes.
We are very, very close to launching. I'm in the process of sending the film to them. We're using a company called Gather to distribute the film in the US. So if you check out our website, we will have the links to request a screening all over the US. Same business model. So you just need to sell 20 tickets or so to get a screening to go ahead in a location and time of your choice. So I feel like the US is a huge deal because that is a big country.
Yeah.
With people in terms of population.
Yeah, so basically just to reiterate, if you haven't ever used Demand Films before, they're great. They host a whole lot of different films, but you go onto their website, you click on our film, you see the cities and locations that it's already screening at. If there's not one near you, you can request it. So you just fill out a little form and it requests through to them and they'll handle all the back end. So they'll either approve it or it might, sit there for a while until someone else requests the same one. I'm not sure whether they approve it straight away. But anyway, so what happens is there's a minimum number of tickets that need to be sold. So once it goes live, people can buy those tickets. And then when it hits its threshold, which is 20 or so, then it'll say confirmed, then it'll go ahead. So it's worth promoting it to on your social medias and things like that to get it to that threshold to make sure it goes ahead if you've got tickets for it.
It's really cheap too. It's in Australia, $22 a ticket. And I think in the US, it's about $12 US a ticket. So really standard cinema price as well. So there's no extra cost to you if you are interested in hosting a screening for your community.
Yeah, and people have been using it as a night out with all the midwife friends, birth worker friends, hospital friends if you're a hospital midwife. Yeah,
it's really fun. I love those events. They're so much fun, and everyone's just there bonding, talking about birth, getting all excited and inspired.
Yeah,
I love
the vibes were crazy. We could never start on time for the ones that we did the Q&As for because there was everybody was just so chatting outside, and then you get them inside and they're chatting in the aisles and you're like, guys, sit down, trying to start the movie. Everyone was just so excited. Yeah, it was so much fun.
They're really fun. Yeah. I'm so glad we did those.
From next year, what are we going to do, Banks?
Next year, we will switch to streaming. So we'll move from cinema screenings to online streaming through a paywall. So you go to our website, and I'm not sure if we priced it yet. We'll price it to something cheap, and you pay, $10 to $15 for access to the film for 72 hours, and you can watch it in the comfort of your own home. You can refer it to your clients if you're a home birth midwife or a doula. You can send it to your family and friends. We'll have that available through the website. I've just created a new website, which has been a huge achievement. And if you're interested in home birth at all, it's a good place to go for resources as well, research resources, lots of information on there.
You've done so well with that.
Thank you.
What's the address?
It's bornathomefilm.com.
Yeah, cool. And same as our Insta, it's at Born at Home Film.
Yes.
Which you are our amazing social media manager for now, and you'll absolutely let people know when it's up for streaming. Hey, so if people
100%.
just go and follow, then keep up to date with when we're going to go onto the streaming. And also, we are just about to. I've been working on our YouTube channel. And so all the extra content that wasn't able to be fit into the film, the full interviews with Dr. Rachel Reed, Dr. Sarah Buckley, our families. So if you really resonated with one of the women and you really wanted to hear a bit more of her story, sort of her backstory, that's all going onto YouTube, as well as the before and after interviews for some of the women that we didn't get to put a lot of the content on there. And a lot of it's amazing as well. I feel like people will really resonate with their stories. So that's all going on there too. It's just going to be slowly released throughout the week. So definitely follow us on Insta and our YouTube. What's our YouTube handle?
I think it's under Illumina Films, actually. So Illumina Films is our business. We created a business because we like doing films. So if you go to YouTube, I'll put a link on the show notes as well for our YouTube channel. So we'll have a bunch of content coming up there. It's so good. I watched Rachel Reed's the other day and I was glued to the screen.
She's going to be the first one we release. So definitely at least follow us on Instagram, and then we will definitely put when we upload our first one, which may have already happened by the time you hear this.
Probably, yeah. Probably. It probably has happened. So head to Illumina on YouTube, and we'll have the Rachel Reed full interview available on there for you to watch for free. Free content.
So I think as well, just moving forward, maybe we should just let everyone know what this podcast is going to be for, what we hope to put on here. Because we've decided to call it the Illuminate podcast, which is for our company, film production company that we created. So that might give you a clue that there will be future films coming out, which we're very excited about. We're already started on the next one. We've already getting the contacts, already getting the networking going. We've already got the places of locations kind of mapped out. The scaffold has started, as the producer Amanda often says.
Isn't it crazy though, Eleanor? Like,
yeah,
as soon as you open up yourself to something,
yeah,
I just cannot believe it. Like, it was like the tour, and then my brain was like glued to the tour. I couldn't, comprehend anything else. And as soon as I was like, okay, I'm good now, and it's just like boom, like all these things just start falling into place. We meet these people that are interested in, talking about these things that we're interested in talking about, and
I'm getting goosebumps.
Oh, it just
literally
happens.
getting goosebumps.
The film has its own energy about it. Like we're like these facilitators for a story that is just waiting to be written. It's very cool.
Yeah, we just the film's just like, who's crazy enough to make me? We just must have had some light bulbs on our head, like, oh yes, give us something more to do, please. Our lives are not full enough.
And also, I just think it's so cool, given that this is not our industry. Like, my goal for this year is to like learn about the film industry, because apparently it's a whole thing.
It's a whole thing.
There's a lot that goes on. It's funny, we were at like a film event a few weeks ago, and people like they're like, so you're just like self-distributing. It's like it blew their mind that, because everyone makes a film and then sells it. That's like how films are distributed. And it was like people just couldn't believe that we self-distributed a film and it's just doing so well. Self-funded. Yeah, self-funded was a big deal in that community.
That was a big deal. Yeah.
Yeah, because no one does that. They literally, if they can't get funding, they just don't do it. They park it on a shelf. Because
also, if you think about it, like if it wasn't us two doing it, we would have needed to hire a crew, like, and their equipment. We would have needed to pay people for each time they came out with us to do the interviews. Then we would have needed to pay post-production, editing team. We would have had like lots of back and forth revisions. It's like, oh, that's not quite right. That's not the, like we've heard people have to hire a storyboarder, like someone to help them create a story out of all the footage that they've got. So it's like, it's a whole big thing. If it wasn't like us two putting all those hats on ourselves, then it would have cost a lot of money. Yeah. Whereas it just cost our time, which is really worthless. No, kidding.
It felt like it at the time.
Yeah. Obviously there's some costs involved, but like for the most part, for that huge chunk of money, we had workarounds basically.
Yeah, we just figured it out. And I think we're lucky as well, because it's a documentary. So like, you can get away with certain things that you couldn't get away with if it wasn't a documentary. Like, we've got iPhone 100%. Footage in our film, which I just think it adds to the documentary element as well. Totally. Like you really are looking at someone's iPhone screen, and that iPhone was at the birth of their baby.
Yeah.
I just think it's really cool. And so,
it's crazy.
We were fortunate in that way as well.
So just going back to the whole podcast thing, I think we wanted to create this podcast firstly because we wanted to maybe re-interview some of the people from the film. I know sometimes it's the first time they're seeing these amazing people like Sarah Buckley and Rachel Reed, so it'd be lovely to get them back on if they're happy to, maybe re-interview some of the families, like where are they now, that kind of thing. But then also moving forward, like we'd love to give people an insight into filmmaking, the different topics that we're moving forward into, the process as we're moving through it, like all the challenges. I think that all that stuff is super interesting as well. And then what else are we hoping to have on here? Different stories.
Different stories, different people that we meet along the way. I'm super excited about the next film. So once we kind of cover the Born at Home kind of side of thing, then, come along the journey with us on to a whole new project and what it looks like behind the scenes. I think that's so interesting. We will take you along with us while we're filming in different countries. Different states, different areas. We'll be releasing little snippets of content as well. So
what that looks like with a family as well. Like, how do you do that, being a mum and like wearing all those hats? Because I remember after I had my first my son, my first child, I went crazy listening to all different kinds of podcasts of business owners who were also mums, because I was like, oh my God, this mothering thing is really hard. But I also have all these passions and this drive to be something as well as a mum. And, you know, I wish I could have turned that off. I wish it was just like I wanted to be a mum and that would be like fill my whole heart. But it was like there was still all of this extra stuff like waiting to come out. And I was so confused. How do people achieve that? Like, what does that look like? And I just was like listening to story after story of all the different ways that these women were achieving both, you know, being a mum and also creating the things they wanted to create, you know, businesses, art, whatever it is. And it's interesting because it's not what you expect and it's different for everyone. And it's always, always messy.
Yes, that's for sure. And I think like for us as well, like not compromising on our parenting, like, or just finding ways that we can compromise that isn't too impactful for like ethically how we wanted to parent. And so sometimes that looked like taking our kids with us on filming, which I did with my daughter. She was 100% breastfed. So she came along to like a bunch of interviews, which wasn't the most convenient thing to do.
You can hear it in the background.
Oh, I know. So sorry, Eleanor. She had to like edit out coughing and like, you know, baby noises. Like I'm in the background like breastfeeding instead of like making sure microphone's working or something. So, you know.
Yeah, there'd be like a midwife mid-sentence and then she'd be like, do you need to sort that out? And Bridget be in the corner with a pot plant pulling dirt out. Like,
right.
It's like, oh, okay.
She was little. She was like crawling towards the end of filming as well. So, you know, just busy baby. And then sometimes she'd be like sleeping in the car with the aircon on, just like outside of someone's house while we're filming. So, you know, it's cool to see how you can achieve something while not compromising too much on your ethical parenting, you know, how you want to
and
parent.
probably letting go of what the process looks like along the way. That's probably the biggest thing, because you will have to be flexible. It is going to be chaotic and messy, and you just kind of got to let that go and just like accept that that's normal, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. 100%. Life is very messy.
Anyway, Banks, that is kind of it, I feel like.
Yeah, I think we've covered pretty much everything.
Yeah.
Actually, I wanted to ask you, because we've kind of talked about a couple things, but I just wanted to like be clear, like what's your greatest achievement so far?
Oh, okay. Okay. It kind of like pops into my mind straight away, the premiere. Because up until that point, I felt like, you know, as I said, it was like half an hour at a time at some stages. Some days were just like, just get through it, just one foot in front of the other. So it was almost like the premiere, when we did that on the 18th of January in Brisbane, that was the first time I took a breath and watched that film out of a place of enjoyment and joy, that I had completed something. I had no control anymore over what it looked like, what it sounded like. If there was something that I picked up later on, it was too late to fix. So all the pressure was off, all the stress was off. It was happening. I had to let it go into the world and enjoy where it landed. And for me, watching that first time, I started bawling when I first saw it, because I was like, it's good. Like, it's good. Everything is good. I was worried about the quality, as you know, because I didn't have a big cinema camera. I didn't shoot it in the highest resolution. And I was just stressed that it wouldn't translate onto the big screen. And so when I saw it, I was like, oh, like just this big sigh. It's good. Sounds good. Quality's good. The movie's actually good. And like being in the audience, hearing them laugh, like hearing the sighs and the gasps, seeing the tears. And when it finished and we got that standing ovation, that was just like blew my mind. Like I couldn't get over that moment. That was a real surreal. I felt like I'd given birth. That's what it felt like. Like just so much oxytocin. There was a shift in me, a transformation in me. And it was like I was in a different plane from then on. Yeah.
Yeah, that was really cool because you could kind of see that like a progression happening from the outside as well of like, you know, of you being like, oh, do I have to attend like these events? And I'm like, yeah, like you're going to be on the panel, bitch. Like, and then like to you kind of going, actually, I like this. You're like stepping into the light and being
I
like,
might like this. I think
I'm
this is fun.
okay. Like it's just like you were stepping into yourself as well, like realizing like, oh, like I'm actually like awesome, you know, like, you know, like not in like an ego way, but like acknowledging your strengths and like that you're fantastic at what you do. And so
thanks.
like it was so cool to observe that from the outside, like, you know, from behind the scenes of feeling
and
self-conscious,
vice versa.
I guess.
Vice versa as well, like seeing you, because you got to MC a lot of them. Initially we got a couple of MCs to do it for us, and then we were just like, let's just do it ourselves. And I was just like, I just felt like you were more, that was your speed. So I was like, you do it, you do the first couple, see how they feel. Happy to step in if needed. But you were just doing so well, like just like reading the crowd, cracking jokes, like just the quick wit between questions, keeping the energy light but also serious. I was just like, oh my God, I think you're made for this. You could just do them all.
I loved it. It was so much fun.
Yeah.
Like that was like, an unexpected joy for me was doing the MC position because I was horrified.
An MC, anybody out there? Please email us. Amanda will take bookings. Yeah.
I'm so available. I have so much free time. Send me your event and I'll be there.
I really do think you are made for it.
Yeah, I definitely, I've always wanted to do public speaking, but I've always been really self-conscious about it. Like feeling nervous or, you know, imposter syndrome, not thinking I'm good enough or people would like my energy or whatever. But it's nice like to have a project that you've worked on, that's your baby, because it's easy to talk about. Like it's such a soft way, a soft introduction into like public speaking. And so I think we've just been really lucky in that way that, you know, it's been quite a smooth transition to, and it's just so much fun. Once you kind of get past the nervousness of the events, it's like, you know, everyone's just there to have a good time, and it's just the best crowd as well. Everyone's really supportive and like love the film, which helps.
Yeah, totally.
Heaps of fun. What a crazy journey. So much fun.
Yeah, so honestly, I kind of just want to do a big shout out for everybody that's gone out and seen the film and just say a huge thank you. Thank you for, you know, coming along and seeing it, trusting that, you know, we've made a good film, and then afterwards, you know, let, you know, all those people that have given us a shout out and put your reviews on social media. That just obviously means so much to us, but then also just helps get the word out for more women to see the film and to know that home birth is an option and to actually understand what that option is. So yeah, and thank you obviously to everybody that's been involved in the film, whether you allowed us into your homes to interview you or whether you donated some birth footage, Kirby, Martha, all our beautiful birth photographers that helped us out. Yeah, just absolutely blown away by all the support that we've had. And yeah, we're hoping to do you proud and create another one, another film.
Huge. We couldn't have done it without the incredible team of families around us. So thank you so much. And I try to send you know, little messages to the people that are involved as well, because often we get like messages on Instagram like, you know, wow, like now I'm inspired to birth at home. I had a VBAC, like I was planning a VBAC, and after seeing, you know, Ashley and Hannah on the big screen, I feel like I can do it, you know, like, or to all the contributors, like it's just such a beautiful form of advocacy is what you've done is allow us to share this footage with the world, because, you know, it's really changing lives all over the place. So, oh gosh, yeah, so grateful. Thank you all so much.
Thank you so much. And yeah, we will catch you on our next podcast. So yeah, definitely keep your ear out and make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Instagram, and we will talk to you soon.